Since you started watching this video, one animal species moved closer to disappearing forever. Right now, 47,000 species are on a list, not a wait list, not a watch list, an extinction list. And here's the part nobody's talking about. When they go, we don't just lose them, we start losing us. This is the Extinction Paradox, and it's already happening. Let's start with what's actually true, because the internet is full of exaggeration on this topic, and you deserve the real numbers. The IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, is the global authority on species status. As of 2025, they've assessed over 150,000 species. They're finding more than 47,000 of those are threatened with extinction. Now, here's where it gets real. The natural extinction rate, scientists call the background rate. T is the pace at which species would disappear if humans weren't here. Today's rate, 1,000 to 10,000 times higher than that. The WWF's 2024 Living Planet report tracked 34,836 wildlife populations across the globe from 1970 to 2020. The average decline, 73%. That's not 73% of species gone. Let me be precise. It means the size of those wildlife populations, on average, fell by nearly 3/4 in 50 years. 50 years. That's one human lifetime. And almost half of all migratory species, animals like wild salmon, monarch butterflies, humpback whales, are currently declining, according to a 2024 UN report. 1 in 5 migratory species listed by the UN is at risk of extinction. This is the scale of what's happening. Let me give you names, not just numbers. The Javan rhino, fewer than 60 alive on Earth right now. All of them in a single national park in Indonesia. One disease outbreak, one natural disaster, gone. The Amur leopard, fewer than 1,000 left in the wild. The rarest big cat on the planet, the cheetah. Only around 7,000 remain in the wild, down from 100,000 a century ago. Wild migratory fish, like salmon, a 2024 UN assessment found that 97% of migratory fish species are on the verge of extinction. Not some. 97%. The African forest elephant has declined by over 80% in the last century, primarily from poaching. And bees, which are not cute or dramatic, but are arguably the most important animal on this list, are rapidly declining. Without pollinators, the crops that feed billions of people start failing. These aren't abstract creatures in a science textbook. These are animals that hold entire ecosystems together. And when they go, something breaks. Here's the paradox that most people miss. We think of extinction as their problem. Animals dying. Sad, sure. But our problem? We don't think so. That's a trap. Every species in a food chain is a link. Remove enough links, the chain doesn't just weaken, it snaps. Scientists call it a trophic cascade. Here's a real example. In parts of Africa, lion and leopard populations declined sharply. What happened? All of baboon populations exploded because their predators were gone. Those baboons began moving into areas close to human settlements. The result? A documented rise in intestinal parasites in both baboons and nearby human communities. One predator disappears. Humans get sick. Now scale that up. 97% of migratory fish on the edge of extinction. That's a direct hit on the global food supply. Fishing feeds over 3 billion people worldwide as a primary protein source. Bees and pollinators declining. About 1/3 of the food we eat depends on pollination. No pollinators, no fruits, no vegetables, no nuts. Apex predators disappearing. According to researchers, the loss of apex species has played a documented role in pandemics, wildfires, the spread of invasive species, and reduced carbon sequestration, meaning the planet gets hotter faster. Elephants going extinct. And this one's subtle but devastating. Elephants are nature's seed dispersers. They consume plants, walk miles, and deposit seed through digestion across vast distances. No elephants means forests stop regenerating in certain regions. Forests that thousands of other species, and eventually humans, depend on for clean air and rainfall. The UN's own Interconnected Disaster Risks report called this co-extinction. When one species disappears, it triggers a chain reaction that pulls others down with it. The domino effect is not a metaphor, it's a documented ecological mechanism. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. Nearly 1 million species are currently at risk of extinction globally. 1 million. The UN ranks biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse as the third biggest threat humanity will face in the next decade, behind only climate change and extreme weather. This is not an animal problem. This is a human survival problem, wearing an animal's face. So how do we get here? 4 main drivers, all human, all documented. 1. Habitat destruction. In the last 60 years, the human population exploded, cities expanded, and forests were cleared at a scale the planet had never seen. Wildlife lost its home. Simple. 2. Overexploitation. Overfishing, poaching, the illegal wildlife trade. All 17 of the world's main fishing grounds are now being fished at or beyond their sustainable limits. Every single one. 3. Climate change. With just a 1.5 degrees Celsius rise in global temperature, which we're approaching, about 14% of land species face a high risk of extinction. At 3 degrees Celsius, that number doubles. Current projections put us at 2.1 degrees Celsius by 2100, even if every climate pledge is met. 4. Invasive species and pollution. Non-native species introduced into ecosystems they didn't evolve in, combined with chemical pollution in water and soil, are pushing native species out. Here's the hard truth. Scientists estimate that humans are responsible for 99% of current species extinctions. Not volcanoes, not asteroids, not disease. Us. Now. I won't leave you in a pit of doom, because the science also shows something important. Recovery is possible when we actually try. The pink pigeon, Tukekim, in 1991, only 16 of them were left alive on Earth. Through focused conservation in Mauritius, that number is now around 400. The saiga antelope in Kazakhstan was on the brink. Integrated conservation efforts brought it back. Bird populations in Cyprus recovered after illegal netting was outlawed. The bald eagle, America's own national bird, was nearly extinct by the 1960s. Today, populations have recovered significantly thanks to legal protections and habitat restoration. And a 2022 study confirmed that restoring species to their historic ranges, like the reintroduction of lynx in Colorado, European bison in Romania, can reverse food web collapse. Extinction is not always irreversible at the population level. The window is still open, but the science is also clear that window is closing fast. The 6th mass extinction, the one scientists say we are currently in, is different from every previous one, because this is the first mass extinction event where one species is almost wholly responsible, and that means one species has the power to slow it. The Extinction Paradox is this: we are the most powerful species that has ever lived on this planet. We've cured diseases, we've walked on the moon, we've mapped the human genome, and yet, through the everyday choices of 8 billion people, we are quietly dismantling the biological system that we ourselves depend on to survive. We are essentially sawing off the branch we're sitting on, not out of malice, mostly out of disconnection. We live in cities, we buy food in packages, we don't see the supply chain that runs from a healthy ocean to our dinner plate. We don't see the pollinator that fertilized the almond in our almond milk. We don't see the apex predator whose absence led to the baboon infestation that led to the disease outbreak in a village we'll never visit. But the chain is real. The connections are real. And the Extinction Paradox is really just this. The animals are not dying to warn us. They're dying because of us. And if we don't change our relationship with the living world, we're not just losing them, we're setting up our own ending. If this hit different than what you expected, that's the point. Most channels give you the surface. We go underneath it. Every week, I bring you the stories that connect the dots between the world out there, and your life in here. If that's the kind of content you want more of, subscribe right now. It's free. And hit the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Because the next video, it connects to this one in a way you won't see coming. I'll see you there.